Hello and welcome to the CUET Possible YouTube channel. Recently, Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke to Vladimir Putin ahead of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit, which is going to be held on 4th of July 2023 in a virtual format. And amongst many other things, they spoke about this failed mutiny attempt by this group called the Wagner Group. So guys, today we are going to talk about what is the Wagner Group from our CLAT and ALIT perspective. The story has elements of betrayal, it has elements of secrecy, and also a lot of elements of money laundering. So let's start off with the very first question. What is the Wagner Group? So you see, you must be reading about this, you must be reading this term called mercenary organization. So each and every country has its own military, as does India, Russia, and every other country. But sometimes, these countries also contract out certain mercenary groups. Now, what is a mercenary group? This is basically an organization that gives their soldiers on hire. So they work on contractual basis, get paid for it, and they basically go into a territory as wherever they have been directed to go, and they perform a particular action for which they get money. Now, the first question is, if Russia has its own military, why does it need this private military organization? Well, if we think about all the treaties, the international treaties, we come to know that there are certain obligations on some countries. Now, don't get me wrong, of course, Russia is Russia, also a permanent member of the UN Security Council. It is not really answerable to a lot of people. But you see, sometimes to do certain jobs, it's easier to use these mercenary groups. It is more affordable, and well, it does not say, or the bad effect or the negative consequence of it does not fall upon the country per se. About the Wagner Group, well, it is headed by Yevgeny Prigozhin, and it was first, it came into effect, or it first started doing its military operations in 2014. But at that time, there was no official acceptance of the Wagner Group. Nobody knew them officially, and nobody officially said that they are from Russia or they are there because of Russia. Now, in the year 2014, everyone realizes that there was the annexation of Crimea, also the reason why the group of 8 countries became the group of 7 countries. So the Wagner Group was associated in that particular annexation also. Later on in the year 2022, it got itself registered, and their headquarters is in St. Petersburg. Now, the next question that comes to mind is why the name Wagner? So this is sort of interesting. There's another co-founder of the Wagner Group, and his name is Dmitry Utkin. You can see him here. He is basically a neo-Nazi. He was a retired lieutenant colonel of the Russia's military special forces and has a reputation for his, brutality and ruthlessness. Wagner was his call sign. Wagner, the word is actually, it was chosen in honor of a German composer called Richard Wagner, because apparently Adolf Hitler really, really admired his music. So that's how the name came into being. The next question is, who is Yevgeny Prigozhin? So basically, he was born in 1961. He was in Soviet jail for a number of crimes, and by the time he came out, the disintegration of the Soviet Union had happened. So as the story goes, he started selling a lot of hot dogs, eventually, had his own luxurious restaurants, which was like the go-to place for all the Russian elites. Also Vladimir Putin. So as the story goes ahead, Vladimir Putin, basically, once he became the president of Russia, he gave a lot of government contracts to this caterer who is Yevgeny Prigozhin. So he has also been nicknamed as Putin's chef. He was not really the chef per se, he was the caterer, right? And then later on, he eventually started getting into the service of providing private military service to different countries. Now, the next thing that we need to know is, well, he himself, he always denied his link to the Wagner Group. So officially, when did he actually tell people? So the picture that you can see on your screens over here, this was actually a video. It was a viral video in 2022 when Prigozhin went to this prison in Russia, and he basically told these people that, if you want to go scot-free, if you want to get freedom, you should come and join us. You should come and join the Wagner Group. It is then that he officially on camera for the very first time said that yes, Wagner Group is a group and I am its leader, right? And they said, he also told them that if you survive 6 months, you will be released at full pardon, is how they basically get most of their soldiers. Now, what were the major operations of the Wagner Group? So I've already told you about the annexation of Crimea. Right after that, this particular group also went to Syria, right? And there were a lot of brutal videos also that were basically shown, right? So you can see it here that in 2015, they basically went to Syria and they helped President Bashar Assad, and they, in return for that, they used to get a lot of money. They used to get a lot of, gas wells, oil mines. In fact, according to their contract, 25% of these gas wells and oil mines, if they would have taken it from the Islamic State, it would be theirs. And so hence the Wagner Group started expanding. They started making their companies in many, many different locations. It has been alleged that these are shell companies. It is basically the money is wired back to the Kremlin, but we would never know, right? And also, yes, of course, so these were shell companies is what is being alleged. And a lot of money was coming to them. Here you can see the Wagner Group's footprint in Africa. So you just look at it, look at how many countries they've gone to. Of course, Sudan becomes exceptionally important. They went to Sudan in 2017 to help President Omar al-Bashir, whom you know he was overthrown in 2019. Some newspaper reports also allege that right now the Wagner Group is also supporting Dagalo, right? Not Burhan, Dagalo. But who are we to know? We would never know the truth. So you can see all of these countries over here. So Libya and Sudan, Mozambique, Madagascar, Zimbabwe. So they have their footprints in all of these particular territories, and they go there, they do whatever, has been, whatever is their contract. They get a lot of money, they get a lot of oil mines and other natural resources, of course, make money out of them, pay their soldiers, do money laundering through these network of shell companies, and the money apparently comes back to the Kremlin, right? So that is how they work. Now, why is this in news, and what was the reason behind the short-lived mutiny? So you see, however ruthless they would be, and they are very ruthless. I mean, you can go and see these videos, which are horrifying to say the least. But also, of course, Yevgeny Prigozhin is taking care of his own soldiers. At least that is what he says. And so he says that he does not have an issue with Vladimir Putin. He, however, does have an issue with the defense minister, Sergei Shoigu. He says this guy is out of his mind. He attacks children. He uses children to attack people. He has lost a lot of able-bodied men in the invasion of Ukraine, which was done very thoughtlessly. That is what Prigozhin says. He also has a problem with the chief of general staff, Valery, right? And these two people are the ones that he wanted to overthrow, because he says, basic things such as ammunitions are not being provided to his soldiers, because of which they are dying, and he does not want that to happen. And so on the night of 23rd of June, he basically released a video and he accused these people. And he said that the Wagner Group will go and, do a mutiny and strike against the German, the chief of general staff as well as the defense minister, and he would basically remove them. After saying that, they also went and took over the Russia's southern military district headquarters in Rostov-on-Don. So you can see it over here. It's the largest city in southern Russia, which they basically took over. And right after that, they started a march of justice towards Moscow. So to put it into perspective, imagine like a military group coming from the northeast, and they're coming towards New Delhi, and they have gotten as far as Agra, right? But after that, something else happened. They stopped their march. He basically said that we are going onwards and we will go to the end and we will destroy everything that stands in our way. And that's exactly what he said. And of course, Vladimir Putin, as all of you must be knowing, this is a statement that is very much in news right now. He basically says it's better to be hanged for loyalty than be rewarded for betrayal. And right after that, Vladimir Putin also said that he called these people traitors, and it has been alleged on the newspapers that he was almost ready to shoot them down, to kill them. Meanwhile, these people were going on, and they were shot just 200 kilometers away from Moscow. But then certain things changed. This particular man, right, Ramzan Kadyrov, he basically, intercepted the Wagner Group when they were on their way to Moscow, and he said that, let's break a deal. Let's not do this because this A doesn't look good, and B, it will lead to a lot of calamities. Meanwhile, it has been alleged that, a lot of Russian military aircrafts were also shot down by the Wagner Group during this entire time. And eventually then the deal was made. What was the deal? The deal was that Yevgeny Prigozhin would go to Belarus, and he is in Belarus right now, and basically this would be like an exile, and all of the charges against him will be dropped, and the people who are working in the Wagner Group will be given defense military contracts, right? And the person who is being applauded in this entire thing, his name is Alexander Lukashenko. You all know him. He's the head of Belarus, right? Belarus is also a huge friend of Russia. And he basically apparently struck this deal, and he said that Yevgeny Prigozhin can come here. In fact, a couple of hours ago, there was this news that Alexander Lukashenko has now invited the Wagner Group mercenaries to his country, and he has said, you come and you train our military. And this basically invitation is on the Independence Day of Belarus, right, which is the 3rd of July, 1944. So we'll see what happens to that. Lastly, there's another news, and well, apparently the Nepali Gurkhas, so you do know that the Nepali Gurkhas used to be a part of the Indian army also. But you also understand that there was this new scheme that was made by the government of India called Agnipath, and the people who were being recruited were Agniveers. The issue that the Nepali Gurkhas had in that is basically the fact that this Agnipath scheme said that their military tenure will only be for 4 years. 6 months of training, 3.5 years of service, after which only 25% of these Agniveers will be retained and the rest will be asked to leave. Of course, they will get some quota in the paramilitary forces and all of that. But it is because of that that the Nepali government basically is sort of hesitating in sending these Nepali Gurkhas, who are also very, very brave, right? And their military strategy is also sworn by a lot of people. It's amazing. Apparently, the Nepali Gurkhas also want to join the Wagner Group. And why is that? Because of the fact that they believe that they will get a lot of incentives such as citizenship, a good salary, and all of that. So, I mean, this is something that we can keep reading about, and that is all from my end. That was the Wagner Group. So, in case you have any questions, you can post them in the comment section. And well, that is all from my end. Thank you very much for watching the CUET Possible YouTube channel. For more such informative videos, kindly subscribe to our channel, and we will keep delivering. Thank you.